Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and change of plans. I think I'm going to pause on streaming for a while. It isn't going the way I wanted it to. Part of it is that I just have a laptop and I don't have like a capture card or another system or anything. So the quality, the output is not as good as I wanted it to be. I'm also not getting as much engagement as I was hoping for, which that doesn't surprise me at all because the stuff I talk about is somewhat esoteric, off the beaten path, and all that other good stuff. So that, and also the fact that I think, I've heard you need to be like on a schedule or be consistent with when you're streaming and stuff like that. And having to say I'm going to get up on Sunday morning or stay up Thursday night and stream is just not, I don't like feeling like I have to be on at those times. I'd rather, like I do right now, I got up early. This is a Tuesday morning and I got up really early and decided to record an episode or two, depending upon how much I get through. And to me, it's more like when it hits and record a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I got to edit it later, but that's fine. That's okay. And I think I'm just going to stick with this approach for a while. I am considering getting a computer, a desktop, and maybe then I can do some streaming and make sure that the computer is beefy enough to do the capturing and all that other fine stuff. So I think I'm going to go back to this and stick with this for a while. I like this format anyway. So you try stuff, you learn, move on. Okay. So what am I going to talk about today or in this episode? Well, I still like the idea of occasionally having a more structured episode and talking about different topics and going that approach on occasions. I still think there's merit and worth on doing that, but that's not what I'm going to do today. Today, I'm going to just randomly work on stuff. One thing though I need to do, and hold on, let me get it open and running. We have to do something that's sad. This is the C# 11 code, demo code that I have in preparation for updating my C# talk. You see this thing I'm parameter null checking where I have something that does this, where is it? String value, bang, bang. Yeah, this is all going to go bye-bye. Cue the sad music. Why are you not closing? I thought Control M. That's kind of weird. You can't hide. Wow, you're really sucking this morning. Okay, side note. I swore. Why are you causing me to sign in? Hold on. Okay, this took me a while. I actually had to stop recording and start again. And unfortunately, when I'm recording, I can't actually bring up the menu on Camtasia's recorder. But I guess I've been putting in a whole bunch of markers into my to my recording, because when you hit Control M, that's to put in a marker, which is why this isn't working. And it was just like, what in the world is going on? But toggle outlining expansion is Control M, and I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm like, why is that not working? And it's because Camtasia is once again interfering with keystrokes. TechSmith, Camtasia, I wish you'd realize that in cases like this, that's just annoying as hell, and stop it, please. Don't take over things. I tried to get rid of it, but then it's like, you need to put in a valid key binding. I'm like, no, you need to go, go somewhere. Anyway, So that's what I was trying to do, is collapse this, because I have to collapse this. As I found out today, actually last night, parameter null checking is going away. Let me see if I can find that article. Hold on. All right, this is the article. It talks about preview update, blah, blah, blah. And then down here, remove parameter null checking from C#11. So they're, you can read this, and they're basically saying they're reconsidering this as a feature. So they may return to it at a later date. I was kind of ambivalent about this. The more I thought about it, the more I'm like, if it's there, great. If it's not, no big deal. It does even get rid of a little bit of code like this. It's going to get rid of that by just putting 2 bangs there. What I found so annoying from certain members in the community is just the voraciousness of them just absolutely hating this. And I mean, I get it to a certain degree that you want people that are passionate about what they feel is in a language. At the same time, I saw a double bang, and I'm just kind of like, and maybe that was the thing. It just wasn't a feature that made a lot of people go, oh, this is really interesting. So I've heard people say maybe another approach would be, and I'm sure the C# team has already thought about this, which is, well, you already put in nullable reference types. Why don't you take it the next step further and say, if a argument to a method it doesn't have the question mark annotation on the type, and you already have nullable enable on, why don't you have a setting to say nullable enforce or nullable, checked or something like that? And then it would go through and look at all your call sites and say, well, if you don't have the question mark there, that obviously means you want to make sure that this is being checked for null. So just put that in there for me. Now, I've heard that that's not as easy as one would think, because I guess for backwards compatibility or previous cases where that becomes like too much of a burden for the like for the performance or something like that. But I'm sitting there going, well, maybe you do it for just public methods. Internal methods, you don't do it unless you want to be like verbose. But maybe, that's the right approach. So I could kind of see that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they did the right thing by saying there's obviously enough dissension that we need to rethink this. And I kind of think maybe you've already set the pattern with nullable enable. Maybe the thing is to be nullable strict public or strict all or something like that. So anyway, so that's why I have to go through and get rid of this. Cue the sad music. Cue it all. Bye-bye. Parameter null checking is not going to be a thing in C#11. Just kind of face, not sad face, just kind of, yeah, save it. So, okay. Wanted to make sure I did that before I moved on. All right. And we're good. Okay, so let's get into what I really wanted to get into today. Okay, so this is the problem. In Partially Applied, remember that source generator I wrote many, many moons ago? Well, I was talking about another idea I have with static abstract members and source generators with a friend of mine, which I will hopefully do in a upcoming episode. We'll give that a whirl, see if we can do it. And it doesn't relate to Partially Applied, but it has some of the kind of same concepts to a certain degree. Anyway, what I found out is that Partially Applied has a couple of bugs, issues, potentially. I know this one is definitely a bug, which is, let's say we have a class that has two methods like this. Now, if I write this, let me make this a little bit bigger. If I write this, it will work, but what's only going to do is generate it for the first method here. Okay. What I would like to do is say, well, what about if I wanted to partially apply for this method? So the idea is make sure that you generate all possible cases for that named method that's coming in here. Okay. But if you have a case like this, where if you just are partially applying the first parameter and a GUID, it's not going to be able to tell the difference between these two. Okay. So then you need to be explicit. You're going to have to put a cast here. Okay. If the two methods started with a GUID and a string, then just by passing in that parameter, that's going to make it unambiguous and it will just work. So only in the cases where it's ambiguous would you have to put a cast in. Okay. But I need to do this because right now it's not going to generate this method. So I need to say for all possible cases, whatever that means, I have to look in the code and say, how am I actually finding these? You know, and make sure that it does it. Okay. So I've already made a branch here. I've already got that in place. So the first thing we're going to do is what, boys and girls? Yes. We are. No. Okay. Microsoft, stop this. I don't know what opens this. I don't know what keystroke I do to do that, but for God's sakes, just please stop that. It's annoying. I don't like it. I also have to learn how to get coffee so I can easily edit it out so you don't see me like kind of sort of drinking and then putting it away. Anyway, don't like that keystroke. Get rid of it. Don't like it. Okay. So, okay. Partially applied. We're going to make a test. Okay. And we have extensions. We have generator tests. Yeah. See, like in rocks, I have them split up more to be like generator tests. And this one, I think, just, says, hey, non-parallelizable. Yeah. That's great. That's wonderful. And what do I want to do here? So what I could do is put in a generator. Hold on. What do I do in rocks? In tests. Yeah, I have a generator. So let's do that here. Let's make sure we're doing the right thing. Add new folder. Generators. Okay. And so we're going to move this up there. Generators. I'm thinking it's partially applied. The generate. No. You know what? No. We're not going to do that. The only reason why is because we're just... At some point, I'll make this like hugely bigger, but not right now. Okay, so what we want to do here is... we want to say generate when overloads exist. Okay? And so let's come back to our example here, and we're going to grab this. Okay, actually that doesn't matter. So we want to say var method. Yeah. And then we need to make sure we have using system. Okay. All right. So what we want this to do is generate something like this. Now, once we get this fixed, I might have to like change the order of stuff. So we want it to be something like this. Okay. And right now this should fail. It should fail by saying I'm only going to have one method in the source generated output. Okay. And so this is the output. And you can see that it generates this one because, yeah, GUID. That's the first one that's literally in the code in the tree. So I'm assuming this is the first one it picks, and we don't want that. We want both. So let's make this work without breaking everything else. Okay. So this has got to be in the builders. Let's start with generator first. So we look for the invocation. We're trying to call partially apply. And that's the thing we're looking for. And then we say partially apply information. Yeah, you have to have at least a method and one argument to apply. That makes sense. We get the first argument, that's the delegate, and we try to get the symbol. If it was found, this is where I'm wondering if in this case the candidate symbols might actually be greater than 0, and we'd want to return all of them. Let's try that. Let's, are we under the debugger? No, we aren't, but we are now. Okay. So let's, this again where Camtasia, good thing I remembered, it paused it and I would have lost all this recording because F9 pauses. I gotta change. I mean, I like Camtasia, but these things, it's like, just don't stop. Please doing that. Just don't do that. Give me an option where I say, don't have these hot keystroke things globally applied when Camtasia is running. Okay. So let's go back to our test and let's say run that. So it's fine with that keystroke. I'm looking at Camtasia right now. I'm like, what's this arrow thing? What does this do? It blows up computer. We don't want that. Okay, so now we say here. How many? There are 2. Yes, there are 2. So if we look at the candidate symbols, yes, we have 2. Okay, so if we change that and saying delegate symbols, if delegate symbols is null, that means we found no target methods. Where would we get? There must be a case, but what difference does it make? Well, wait a minute. If it was found, wait, what? Huh? That doesn't make any sense. So that's a question mark. Did you ever look at your code and go, what in the world did you just do? What have you been doing with your life? That's what just flashed before my eyes. I'm looking at this going, oh, so if we either return one or the other, for some reason, if is a method forget, we'd return that. And so in the case where it was not null, else if it wasn't found, if the delegate symbol, we would want to do that for all of them, right? And the result would need it for all the symbols. We'd have to capture, oh God. This dot result would have ending up having to be some kind of like a mutable structure. And here we would just be adding to it saying, here's a new delegate symbol. And then coming back out here in the generator, we would say for each result, right? But we got to be a little careful here because we're adding to a hash set of partially applied information result. Oh God, this just, yeah, permeates because now I have to say here, I get what I'm trying to do here because a partially applied information result is the target is the partial count and the apply name. And then I have all these equality things in place here because are equal. Yeah. And then I say if they're equal or not. And then I get the target hash code there. Yeah. Because I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm only creating the delegates that I need, because it's possible you could have in one case, you're trying to partially apply to a method for another case where the signatures are exactly the same, and you don't need to create two. In fact, that would give, the way I do it, that would give a compiler error, because I'd end up having two apply methods generated that have exactly the same syntax, exactly the same code, and that'd be a problem. So I have a problem here in that I need to think about how am I going to build this, because I want this to get all of the possible candidates back, like you saw before. And then, unfortunately, maybe what I need to do, yeah, I have an array of those. Okay, yeah, okay, that's right. So this result would be add an array of all these. And so then what would come out here is, if this is a null, then for each one of those, or you could just say results add range. And then each one of those, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm going to do another episode because this is now fresh in my head. And so I want to continue on in doing this. And so we'll see if we can actually make progress in solving this. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.